Chris Kelsey here with
Matt Howell.
On this episode of The First Run, Matt and I are going to discuss Crazy Rich Asians, the romantic comedy that is sweeping the nation. So does it have something new to say? We're also going to talk about Steven Soderbergh's grand iPhone experiment, where he actually shot the whole film with an iPhone, or I'm assuming a few of them. And then we're going to introduce a brand new game called Credits. I don't know. I'm still workshopping the title, so we're going to try and figure that out, and we'd love to hear from you if you have any ideas. Right now, I'm thinking I'm going with Credits, which hit me about 2 minutes before we started recording, and we'll explain what that all is when we get into it. But let's start everything off with a clip from Crazy Rich Asians.
Hi, I'm Rachel.
Oh, I know.
Rachel.
I heard you thought Alma was the cook.
On the bright side, you're the talk of the party. People like your dress.
Oh, I did not.
Oh, I know. This is a chic 70s goddess.
So, Oliver, are you a cousin too?
Well, I'm one of the poor relations. The rainbow sheep of the family. But I make myself useful. Whatever the youngs want, I procure. Golden koi fish, Honghuali furniture, a rare Cambodian gong.
Why would they want to buy a rare Cambodian gong?
Because they can.
Because they can, Matt. Crazy Rich Asians, film based on the book of the same name, features Constance Wu as Rachel Chu. She's an economics professor at NYU, and she has her lovely young boyfriend, Nick Young. And they leave a relatively simple life, but they're very happy. They're very in love. And now it's time to go back to Japan. And I'm sorry, China. Wow, that was horrible of me.
Not even close. Singapore.
I'll get there. I know they're Chinese. That much I know.
Yes, they are Chinese from Singapore.
Off to a great start, Chris.
We're off to a really good start. Keep going.
So they're going there because Nick's brother is getting married, or his best friend. Jesus, did I even see this thing?
Wow, did you even see this thing?
So his best friend, they're getting married, and he is the best man. So they're flying back. They're going to meet Nick's family, and then what happens is Rachel starts to get little clues that maybe Nick may be a little more well off than she thought he was. Turns out he's like ultra crazy. I guess there you go, Crazy Rich Asians. So, of course, when she gets there, the family doesn't rightly approve because Rachel was raised basically American and not steeped in Chinese tradition. And there's little twists and turns and little reveals here and there. And not everybody's always been honest with everybody. And Awkwafina shows up as her best friend who was able to insert some comedic effect. I'm not sure. So, Matt, I know one thing about this, though, is that you weren't too terribly excited about this when we first said we were going to talk about it.
No, I was not.
My question for you, after you walked out of this thing, you're like, wow, thanks, Chris. I really did enjoy this. What do you think?
No, that's not what I said. So I'm not a huge fan of romantic comedies. I mean, they're fine if that's what you like. I mean, I know I like certain genres of film that not everybody likes, and I find appreciation in them. But this is really just not my wheelhouse. And I'm not going to say I've never seen any that I like. But I will say that this one was just mediocre. I mean, it's nothing groundbreaking at all. I mean, the most groundbreaking thing about it is having an all-Asian cast and an Asian director and you know, kind of being about a different culture other than American, and that's great. But I mean, as far as what the material that's actually there on the screen, it's nothing that's particularly well acted or even particularly funny or groundbreaking in any way. And a lot of it is kind of almost kind of gross in the kind of excesses that it kind of it celebrates in some of this stuff. Even though it is kind of critical, but it's not really that critical, which seems weird to be watching it in the times that we're in now, you know?
I guess so. All right. I think that's fair. I think I will agree with you in some points where it doesn't bring or breathe fresh new life into the romantic comedy genre. I guess I should say storytelling wise.
Right.
I found it a little clunky for the first 20 minutes, especially focused on the dialogue and perhaps some of the line delivery. But I thought as the thing progressed, it got got much better. And I think in the end, I don't know. I thought this thing was really well done, Matt. I think it's at times very funny. I think that John Chu, the director, brings a very light touch to the film that I think works in its favor. And I felt that there was a strong romantic kind of connection between our leads, and I thought the cast all was pretty good. I mean, if the film had any narrative shortcomings, I think maybe that was overcome by the cast. But I don't know. I think it hits all the right beats. I actually really rather enjoyed this thing. I think it's not so. And granted, because it does traverse well-trodden ground, right? This is a genre that's been done over and over again, but I guess you could say that about every genre, right? But I did find watching it interesting through a different cultural lens. I certainly did. Though I think in the end, the focus may be not so much the cultural differences as in the wealth gap. The disparity there, I think, may have been more, maybe even made a more interesting film. I don't know. I shouldn't say that because, like I said, I enjoyed it. And I apologize, everybody. I'm struggling through this right now because I'm having a ton of technology issues here tonight. So I'm actually going through my notes and then my reference material back and forth on an iPad, which is why I'm stumbling and being a little choppy when I talk, because I'm having a lot of technical issues. But anyway, outside of the first 20 minutes, I'm just going to speak from the heart now, people. I really enjoyed this thing, Matt. I did. I connected with these people. I thought maybe the overall narrative arc was a little rote and we know it was going to come. But still, I found the thing exceptionally emotionally engaging. I didn't quite get moved to tears. It wasn't that dusty in the theater, but I was emotionally invested in these people. And I enjoyed the film. I did. I thought it was really interesting. I thought it was a lot of fun. And I liked it. I don't know what else really to tell you. I think it's good. It's good.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I said, it's middle of the road. I mean, it's nothing groundbreaking. It's fine. It's a fine little diversion. I don't know. It's just weird. It's just kind of like weird to see this kind of modernized, hidden prince kind of thing, fish out of water kind of stuff. And usually it's more, I don't know. And like the message, I guess, was just a little bit of a role reversal, like, or at least I don't know if role reversal is the right word. I mean, the plot beats all kind of happen how you expect them to happen, but usually in these things, like the person who's up here comes down to earth a little bit more, becomes a little more grounded, whereas instead she's elevated up to his level, to where now she's like in this rarefied air with these people who, you know, basically could buy and sell everyone in the audience 1,000 times over kind of thing. And we're supposed to like relate to that. And like, I don't get it. And the whole thing in it's also just weird to me that it's, you know, this is all based in Singapore, which if you know anything about Singapore history, they basically just came in and took everything from the Malays. Like, Malays hate them. And like, that's the rest of Malaysia. And they've kind of shoved all the Chinese down into the edge of the island, and they've got all the money. They've got all the resources. They've kind of just, so all of this stuff is basically like you're celebrating like robber barons. Like, it's like the Vanderbilts were like the highest, you know, like the level of thing that you could have done. And that's what you made this feel good movie out of, kind of thing. I don't know. It just sat weird with me. Just kind of, that part of it just sat weird with me while I was watching it.
I confess I'm not socially aware. I'm rather ignorant, I guess, of the story of Singapore and Malaysia. So I'm a little, maybe if I had that perspective. I'm usually more politically linked in on stuff, but clearly I don't seem to care that much about that.
I say I'm a what can I say? I'm you know, Chris has ambitions of being secretly a capitalist pig, and I'm the socialist proletariat champion. So that's how it goes.
Yeah, that's interesting. I thought too, when they try and scare off basically Constantine's character, you know, that was really kind of dark.
It was really dark. I mean, yeah, it was pretty brutal. And I was almost like, okay, like if they went the route of, you know, these people are bad people, or, you know, and like if they kind of separated themselves from more of that, or if there were more consequences for that, I probably would have respected the film a little bit more. But then it's like, nope, it's okay. You know, we're still good. You know, we're good. Now we're all going to be happy multi-billionaires, and be on top of this hotel that's, you know, got a swimming pool that looks down 1,000 stories or whatever it is. So it was just, I don't know. The whole thing was just weird to me.
Well, you know, I think I don't know. I could definitely see me getting to that point.
Yeah, well, what can I say? Maybe I'm just a hater. Maybe I'm just a hater. That's all it is.
Why do you hate? Yeah, why do you hate capitalism in America? It's
Yeah.
I just stop watching these things through your own political lens, Matt, and just
Seriously, I just enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, see, there's some role reversal right there.
Film doesn't make social commentary on things.
No, it does not. Never.
So
Never.
and ignore everything I'm about to say when we talk about Unsane.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so I don't know. Fine. You know what? I'm giving this thing a B+. I am.
Right.
I just
That's fair.
It hits all the point. I enjoyed it. It's fun. It's light. It's breezy. Especially if I don't think about the imperialism or whatever the hell horrible things that have happened that let these guys get all this money. But I don't know. I enjoyed it. I thought Constance Wu was really great in this thing, as was Henry Golding. Maybe I'm all set on Ken Jeong. I don't know.
Yeah, he was a bit much.
Michelle Yeoh is good, and I'm still don't quite think I understand the Aquafina thing, but maybe it's just me. I don't know. I'm not very hip to what the kids are into nowadays.
Hey, whatever it takes to bring them in, right?
Yeah, she was funny in this. She was fine. I saw her on Kimmel too. I found out how she got her name.
Okay.
It's interesting.
Okay. She was drinking some Aquafina, and that's what happened.
Basically, she was trying to come up with a rap name, and she was going through different types of bottled water, and they settled on Aquafina. And at no point did she think she was going to be. But it was like a thing that her and her friends were kidding around about. It wasn't like she thought she was going to be famous one day.
Yeah.
But that's just how it happened. So good for her.
There you go.
So I give it a B+. Where do you come down on the CR?
I'm gonna give it a C+. You know, I mean, if you like this type of film, fine. And it's fine. It's not terrible. I mean, for what it is, I think it's pretty good. But I'm not a huge fan of this genre as it is. So that's actually kind of relatively high praise from me. So we'll see.
I like this genre when it's done well, and I think this is an exercise when it's done well.
Okay.
I can weave the 27 dresses or whatever it's called, the insert Ashton Kutcher starring vehicle here thing, all that stuff, failure to launch, all that stuff, hard pass.
Yeah.
But this, I think, is worth your time. I don't know if you need to rush out to the theater to see it, though maybe it's good that it would be supported. I know from what I understand, they rejected like a $24 million deal to premiere on Netflix. Because they wanted to have, since it was all Asian helmed and starred, they wanted to get a theatrical release. And I think it was the right decision. And I'm glad, and it's good to see some diversity in the cinema, even if it's a story that you may be a little familiar with. So, fair enough. If you've had a chance to see Crazy Rich Asians, shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. We would love to hear your thoughts. All right, Matt, let's talk about what's coming up on Blu-ray and DVD. Here's a film that I haven't seen probably since it came out. I remember really liking it, but I'm terrified if it still holds up. But I don't know. So here's a clip. You tell me.
Gallup took a poll last week to find out what Americans want most when the war is over. 87% of the people in this country said the first thing they want is a new car. Now, which do you think the public would rather buy? The same old models Detroit has been giving us before the war, or the car of tomorrow? Today.
Whoa! Looks like he's going 90 miles per hour.
And you know who's going to build these cars? We are. In 5 years, we're going to put the big three out of business.
Who are we going to sell them to? Buck Rogers?
Under the hood, we've got luggage. The engine is in the rear where it ought to be. Look at this. Individual torque converters. Connected each.
Crazy. You'd have to have a wheel track 70 inches wide.
So that's Jeff Bridges. That's Preston Tucker in Francis Ford Coppola's Tucker. Story about a man and a dream. Yeah, he wanted to topple, as you heard, the big three car manufacturers and create a new whole automobile empire. I remember liking it as a kid, though. Like I said, I don't know. I know it didn't do well. It did not do well. But I've been thinking about kind of catching up with it over the years. And Shout Factory is releasing it, I believe, as part of their Shout Select series. So that's what's coming on August 28th. Also, one of the sci-fi sleeper kind of subtle hits of the year, Upgrade, is being released. Remember the old Upgrade with the guy and the thing, and then the other guy with the shotgun arm thing? And
yes, I do. I remember that we quite enjoyed that film.
Yeah, I struggled with the ending, but overall, I still thought I really enjoyed that thing. Tag, the film about a bunch of guys who've been playing tag for 20 years, is being released. Includes bloopers and deleted scenes. and a featurette where you actually get to meet the real tag guys. So I know, Matt, that was a big point for you. So you can see that.
Yeah.
A film my wife rather enjoyed, Book Club, starring Diane Keaton, Jane Fonda, Candice Bergen, and Mary Steenburgen. They form a book club and read 50 Shades of Grey and then kind of introduce some of that stuff into their own lives. She saw that with her mother and enjoyed it. And she said Candice Bergen is hilarious in that thing. Did you see they're bringing back Murphy Brown this year?
I did see that.
So
Interesting.
I'm excited for that. But you can check out Book Club, include some deleted scenes and some other featurettes. The documentary about Ruth Bader Ginsburg, RBG, is getting released. The latest Mary Shelley biography film, this one starring Elle Fanning and how she came up with the story of Frankenstein, is coming out as well. New to Blu-ray, Criterion has given us Memories of Underdevelopment. The film by Thomas Gutierrez Elia is the most widely renowned work in the history of Cuban cinema. After his wife and family flee in the wake of the Bay of Pigs invasion, the bourgeoisie intellectual Sergio passes his days wandering Havana in idle reflection, his amorous entanglements and political ambivalence gradually giving way to mounting sense of alienation. Includes a new 4K digital restoration, new interviews with a couple film critics, B. Ruby Rich and Jose Antonio Avora, a new interview with novelist and screenwriter Armando Desnoes, and some other featurettes on the making of the film and some archival stuff as well. What else we have, Matt? Bound, Olive signature. Only 3,500 copies are going to be created. The Wachowski brothers. I believe it was their first film, Bound, right? With Meg Tilly and Gina Gershon.
Yeah, I think that's right.
It's a brand new digital restoration of the film. Includes both the theatrical and unrated versions. Audio commentary with the Wachowskis, as long as Joey Pants, Jennifer Tilly, and Gershon, and some other featurettes as well on the making of the film and some interviews with the cast and crew. The Scream Factory is releasing Brain Scan, the 90s horror film with Edward Furlong. You remember Brain Scan?
Vaguely.
Yeah, I remember watching it. It was when the kid gets the new interactive video game and something really horrible happens. I remember not being typically fond of it when it came out, but I guess it has a bit of a cult following. It includes an all-new audio commentary with the assistant to the director, Tara Georges Flint, and a bunch of other new featurettes as well, including a deleted scene, which I think is an archival feature. Universal Studios is re-releasing their Universal Monsters set. So if you want to get the box set again, or if you've been waiting and holding out, they're pushing it back out again. And also a set of one film and a set of series that I used to love these, Matt, watching them on Channel 56 in the morning. And that's Abbott Costello movies. This is the Abbott Costello Meet the Invisible Man is being released on Blu-ray for the first time. Were you an Abbott Costello fan?
No, not really my thing. Although, to be fair, I don't think I've ever seen more than bits and pieces of any of their stuff.
I remember Abbott Costello's at Meet Dracula and then the Wolfman and Frankenstein. They did all that stuff.
Yeah, they did.
Good times. Your straight to DVD pick of the week, though, I went with Bleeding Steel because of who stars in it. This action icon, Matt, is a special forces agent, and he's assigned to protect the scientist and his creation from a sinister gang. Bleeding Steel stars the master, Jackie Chan.
Wow.
That's what you should be picking up for your straight to DVD pick of the week. What should we be streaming?
I'm going to suggest there's a couple Coen brother movies available out on Netflix. I'm going to suggest Burn After Reading. Kind of I don't even know how to describe that film. Kind of a spy / espionage kind of thing. It's really got some interesting performances, especially from Brad Pitt as a completely duncy, blonde himbo kind of guy. It's very funny performance, but also has some shocking, unexpected violence in it. So it's really got everything you want from a Coen's brother movie. Check it out. One of the lesser known ones if you haven't seen it.
There you go. All right, Matt. So let's go ahead then. Let's move on and talk about our second film this evening. And that is going to be the Steven Soderbergh film shot via the iPhone. That is Unsane. And Matt, I have a question for you to answer when we get back. Is this film hampered or improved by its air quotes gimmick? First, let's hear a clip.
There's been some kind of mistake.
Your name is Sawyer Valentini.
You know that already.
By signing this, you've consented to voluntary commitment for 24 hours.
No. The council said the form's routine.
You signed it.
Look. You're just doing your job. And you've been so considerate of my feelings and my well-being. And you're right. I signed those papers. I'm here by my own volition. It's for my own good. Can I ask, do you think I could just make a phone call just to let my family know that I'm okay? Let them know where I am?
You got a phone call? That's allowed.
Oh, you're so nice.
You're saying you want your phone call now?
Yes. Yes, that is what I'm saying. Oh my God, it's like you read my mind. Yes, hi, my name is Sawyer Valentini. I am at Highland Creek Behavioral Health Facility. I am being held here against my will. Please, send help. Thank you. I'll be out of here in like 20 minutes.
Do you know how many calls the cops get like that every week?
Those are from crazy people.
And she is not crazy. So, Matt, why don't you tell the folks at home, and I apologize, again, every episode is specifically mastered for a specific listening experience. This episode has been mastered, of course, for, I know it's a little late, but this is one you want to listen to while you're, at a rehearsal dinner for a wedding. Just so or at least getting ready. You could be listening to your favorite music, but I think you should be listening to the first run. So there you are.
There
Matt,
you go.
why don't you tell the folks at home what Unsane is all about, and then answer my question, damn it. Is this film improved upon by using its iPhone 7 Plus issue thingy, or is it a detriment, or does it even matter?
Yeah. Okay, so this is the story of a woman named Sawyer Valentina. She is the victim of sexual assault and stalking by someone who is, we don't really know at the beginning of the film, but is a man who lived in a different city in Boston, and she has fled across the country to kind of get away from him. She started a new job, and she's starting to see him in basically wherever she goes, and things like getting into normal relationships or trying to have dates, it all kind of interferes. So she goes in to have talk to a psychiatrist or a psychologist about it, says that she has had some suicidal thoughts, signs some papers, and she has suddenly, inadvertently, which is why kids, you should always read what you're signing, committed herself to a mental facility. Despite her protests to get out, she is stuck there for 7 days, which is the max amount of time they can keep her. And it looks like she sees someone who works at the office at the hospital, who looks like the man that she is trying to run away from. So crazy stuff. Yeah, I don't think that this film, to be quite honest with you, I don't think it really even mattered that it was shot on the iPhone. After a while, it just really, it could have been shot on any kind of digital, relatively low to middling quality digital media camera kind of thing, just for the aesthetic. But it wasn't so glaring to me that I even really thought about it as I was watching the film.
You don't think so, huh?
No, I didn't. Now, it could be because I was having a problem getting the TV in the house to run this film through my Xbox or even through the smart TV. So I had to end up watching this on my computer. So I don't know if that took away from some of it because it wasn't on like a bigger screen. But it just seemed normal to me.
Yeah, I think it may have. I would occasionally lose track of it, but then there would be some specific shots. I'd be like, oh yeah, clearly this is not a regular recording movie thing. I think is a technical term.
The movie camera thing? Recording
the movie camera thing. So yeah, no. And plus, does my iPhone have a night vision mode? I don't know if it does. I think
that had to be day to night. That was day to night, right? That's what I thought that was when it was blue.
Yeah, when she was in the thing that moves.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Maybe. I don't think it has an infrared setting, but I don't have an iPhone 7, so I could be wrong. So
yeah, and I now have an 8, so they could have
taken it out.
With it, yeah. You know how they are with that stuff.
They are, right? They're like, Soderbergh needed it for one generation. Hope you got on the ground floor, guys.
One thing I'm glad that Soderbergh decides to do. Listen, I'm all for experimentation. I love my boy Sods, right? And he's always willing to take some chances. So I'm glad that this film exists and he did this. Is it entirely successful, Matt?
No.
I don't know. One thing I'm glad about is we dispense with the narrative tease in the trailer pretty early in the film, right? I'd say a little less than, not quite halfway. We get the reveal of what's happening and who this guy is and stuff. So I'm happy about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know if I wanted to spend the rest of the film, though there is the coda at the end that maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into it.
Right.
Though.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think the whole thing is legitimately plays out like it plays out.
Yeah, I would think that it would have to play out like it played out because of all of the, well, I'm just going to throw it out there, spoiler alert, body count that's involved. I mean, you'd think that would have to be something that actually happened, but yeah. I'm with you. I mean, I thought it was, when I kind of went into this pretty cold, I didn't even watch any trailers, so I was thinking this was going to be kind of one of these what's real kind of things going through it, and like you said, I think it flashes through that. And I think at the end, I think that's more just saying that even though she's, beaten her abuser and she's kind of moved past that, he'll always be there kind of thing. Like he's always going to be part of her or whatever. And I think that's part of it as well. Not necessarily that everything we saw before was completely unreliable.
I think that's fair. Also, there's a fun little cameo in this that I rather enjoy.
I was like, hey, it's that guy.
Yeah, and in fact, what it was is while that particular scene was playing, I wasn't looking up at the screen.
Yeah,
I was writing down a note about something that happened in the film, and I hear the voice. I'm like, oh no, that voice. And I look up, and go,
oh yeah,
that's Linus. So, but still, so that was kind of fun. Did that kind of take you out of it? Because I know not everybody.
Yeah, actually, you know what? A little bit, just to see somebody of that star wattage, like in all of a sudden this tiny little thing that looked like it was like he just rounded up some people from like his local grocery store and were like, here, let's be in a movie together. And suddenly you've got like, A-list star up there. It's like, huh, this is a film kind of thing. It did take me out of it a little bit.
Yeah, that was the one concern I had with it. So interesting. So Soderbergh's making two statements here for me, right? That he's wrapped inside of a thriller. One, we're talking about mental illness, right? And the impact it has on the people and the people around you. The other thing he's talking about is the for-profit treatment center business.
Right.
There's another scourge on this nation, potentially. So I think, unfortunately, he does justice to neither.
Right.
And I don't know. I know he's trying to make a lean little thriller with this thing. I know he kind of did something similar with the film Side Effects, maybe to a more success. I don't know. I think maybe if we had focused more on one of those two stories, or instead of so much the fact that look at what I can do with this iPhone.
Right.
Though I'm sure that's not what his thought process was, but just kind of how it felt to me, because I want to give him as much of the benefit of that as I possibly can for this. But still, I don't know. I mean, I think for the most part it works.
Yeah.
I think the phone stuff takes you out for me every now and then, because I watch this on my big TV, right? So like you watch on a laptop, maybe it wasn't noticeable. And of course, the big cameo, of course, pulled me out of it as well. But I think Claire Foy, who has to do all this heavy lifting, does a fantastic job in this thing. It must have been a challenge working on this when you're getting shot by an iPhone 7. Never mind the fact that the whole subject matter of the film and the interacting with people and having to kind of portray somebody who may or may not be crazy or going crazy. That's got to be a chore in itself. But I thought she was quite good in this. And again, as I stated, I admire Soderbergh for taking a chance with this thing. And he does deliver some suspenseful moments. So overall, I did enjoy this. Though again, for me, it was like not as good as Logan Lucky, which what do we call kind of like a stealth comeback? Kind of a very kind of subtle, I can still nail this kind of stuff.
Sure.
So I definitely put this below that, but I admire it for what he's doing with it. I just think narratively, or maybe the two messages could have been a little sharper.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think if he had just stuck with the film, like I think he either should have just made like just a straight up thriller and not tried to make a critique, and I think it would have been fine, because I was enjoying it while I was watching it. But I'm with you. Like when he started I could see him pulling in those kind of thematic threads of where he's trying to make critiques and stuff like that. And I'm like, if you had just left the whole stalking, sexual assault aspect of it and just dealt with somebody who had just like a straight mental illness, where it wasn't kind of tied to, I hate to say reality, but in the sense of it was more of a disorder that was lent itself more to something that was even your not foundation of not something real, I think that would have probably worked better. But I don't think you can have both, and I don't think you're right. I think it does a disservice to both of them. But to be fair, I mean, while I was watching it, I was entertained. Like, I was having a decent time. So, you know, the craft and the structure is there. I just think he just kind of falls apart a little bit in what he's trying to do as far as thematically and his critiques that he's making.
Yeah, I think that sums it up perfectly. So I still gave Unsane a B-.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair assessment for this thing.
Yeah.
What'd you come down?
Yeah, I came up with that. I was vacillating between a B and a B-, but I'm gonna go with B- as well.
All right. Good to know.
Mm-hmm.
You've had a chance to see Unsane. Would love to hear your thoughts. Shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Unsane is currently available for streaming on the Amazon Prime platform.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Matt. So coming up,
credits.
I don't know if this is going to work. I do not know, but we will find out together. So credits. So, you know, you're talking to people, right? And you got to talk about a movie and like, oh, stars in it. Oh, you know, that guy, Tom Cruise. You know him from insert film here. Though I don't know. Maybe starting off with big stars is not the way to go with this.
Well, let's get our feet wet. Let's lay the foundation. Then we can start making it hard for ourselves, right?
All right. So we're tackling 5 just massive stars in this thing, and we're going to tell you, like, when you read the synopsis of a film, has the actor's name, and then in parentheses it says a film about them, you know, what film the reference for them. That's what we're doing, and we're going to try and pick what the definitive film would be for that artist, for that reference.
Okay.
So I'm going to play a clip from one of these stars that didn't make the cut for me, Matt. Maybe it did for you, but didn't for me. So let's take a listen.
What's the pool on me up to right now? What's it up to? What is it? $300? Is that it? 300? I'm a school teacher. I teach English composition. This little town called Abley, Pennsylvania. It's, the last 11 years, I've been at Thomas Alva Edison High School. I was a coach of the baseball team in the springtime.
Big doggone.
Back home, and I tell people what I do for a living. They think, well, now that figures. But over here, it's a big mystery. So I guess I've changed some. Sometimes I wonder if I've changed so much, my wife is even going to recognize me whenever it is I get back to her. And how I'll ever be able to tell her about days like today.
So that's Sir Tom Hanks in Saving Private Ryan. I remember at the end of that film, Matt, I cried like a baby. Oh, sweet Pete.
Is he a sir? Is he a sir?
No, I just...
You just threw that in there.
That's all I'm saying.
Oh,
if we start knighting people, maybe that'll be another game we play.
Who should get a sir? That'll just be it. We think it should be Tom Hanks. Okay, that was it for the first run. See you next time.
So we're going to start things off. Here are your 5 actors, so you can start thinking yourself what you would go with. All right. Tom Hanks, Tom Cruise, Meryl Streep, Amy Adams, and George Clooney. So for Tom Hanks, Matt, I ended up going with Forrest Gump. As even though the film itself, I don't know about, but I just think when you think of Tom Hanks, I'm trying to think, what do you go with? I think your default is Forrest Gump, isn't it? It's not. I may have. And here's what I think is interesting. We can talk about is how far back should you go?
Right.
Like, do I want to go big?
Yeah.
Splash? I don't want to go Splash.
Definitely not Splash. Splash is not the right answer.
So, I think it's Forrest.
So I had the same thought that you did. So I was like, okay, if you're of a certain age, of which we're dwindling, and it's getting further and further in the past, I would have said Big, right? Because when you said Tom Hanks, that's immediately what I thought of, was either Big or Saving Private Ryan, right? And I'm in a perfect world, it would be Saving Private Ryan, but that's such a big ensemble cast, and it's kind of such bigger than Tom Hanks itself. Whereas Forrest Gump, which does not hold up, people, and I didn't even like it that much to begin with back in the day, but I think it's a quintessential film of his just because A, it has such a broad appeal, B, he carries the whole thing, and it's kind of like he's got 2 feet in both sides, right? It's got his comedic past, it's got little pieces of that, but then it's also got more of his dramatic future kind of thing. So it kind of showcases both of what he can do, because back in the day when he first started, I mean, he was a comedic actor. I mean, that's what he was. Yeah. So that's, I think a lot of people forget that or don't even realize that, depending on how old you are.
So you agree then?
I agree with you. I would go with Forrest Gump, yes. As much as it pains me to say.
All right. So let's do Meryl next.
Meryl. Okay.
Meryl. Here's the problem, and I'm ashamed to say this. My exposure to Meryl is not gigantic.
Right.
I have not seen The Devil Wears Prada. I have not seen Florence Foster Jenkins. I have not seen The Bridges of Madison County. I have not seen It's Complicated. I have not seen Kramer vs. Kramer. I have not seen The Iron Lady. I have not seen Julie and Julia. I have not seen Out of Africa. I have seen Ricky and the Flash. I have, so...
You've never seen Out of Africa?
No.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I have a big issue with all of this stuff. So when I was going through this, the one probably out of this I like the most, and it's maybe Defending Your Life with Albert Brooks, but that's not it.
Yeah, that's not it. No.
So I ended up going with Sophie's Choice. Right. But the problem is that's what is that? How long ago is that? That was a while back.
Yeah, Sophie's Choice is a good one. And just because, if
82.
For no other reason, huh?
82.
Well, if for no other reason, I mean, hey, I mean, she's got you say an appropriate thing, applying something like, is it Coke or Pepsi? That's a Sophie's Choice. I mean, that's I know it's completely inappropriate, but I mean, and besides, Coke is the right answer.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Not that it's inappropriate, that there is no.
We trivialize the Sophie's Choice, but I personally, I would even go back even further, to be quite honest with you. I would go back for Kramer versus Kramer. I mean, that was kind of like the big, kind of acting with a capital A between her and Dustin Hoffman, that really kind of, I think, really solidified her career. And basically, she's kind of just built on it from there. I mean, and that's 1979, but I think that's the right answer.
Yeah, see, I haven't seen that.
Oh, okay. I mean, it's a powerful film. It's a good film.
I think part of it is when it was big. So when it first came out, I don't even know if I was even 4. And a few years later, my parents got divorced.
Right.
So I have no interest in watching this. So,
right.
I don't know. But yeah, I know. Maybe that's next. Maybe I have a Meryl marathon that I have to tackle.
You got a lot of marathons.
I do. Oh, dear Lord. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So let's do, what do you want to do next? Clooney or Cruise? And then you give me what you
got. Let's save Cruise for last.
All right. So Clooney.
All right. So George Clooney. I thought long and hard about this, but I believe, in my opinion, Danny Ocean, I think, is his quintessential role. So I would go with Ocean's 11 as the pick for him. I mean, it kind of shows his funny side. It shows just how it just allows him to be relentlessly cool, which I think is the right attitude for Clooney.
Yeah.
I mean, he can, he's been in some roles where he's like Michael Clayton or The American, where it's much more serious. But I don't know. Clooney just strikes me as somebody he's just the man. So therefore, I think it has to be Danny Ocean in Ocean's 11.
So I struggle with that because I feel the strength, though he is the best thing about that film, the strength is more Soderbergh and in the ensemble itself and everybody coming together. And let's be honest, everybody loves to watch Brad Pitt eat and act.
That's really all it is. I just want to watch Brad eat. Supercut of Brad Pitt eating the whole time.
He's great in The Descendants, but that's not something that's going to spring to mind at all.
Right.
Same thing with Up in the Air. Right. The Jason Reitman film, which is fantastic and a film of its time.
Right.
For sure. Now, my default would be Out of Sight, which is one of my all-time favorite films, and a Soderbergh movie. But again, I just don't know how many people are going to think of that film.
No.
Not people have seen it, unfortunately.
I agree.
So I ended up going with what I think is his best performance film, a film that I've probably watched at least once a year, easily, and that's Michael Clayton. I think he is fantastic in that thing. And but again, the more I think about it, I think you're right. If we're playing the game correctly, I think that people would say, "Oh yeah, Ocean's 11. I love that thing."
Yeah, right.
That's George Clooney's Ocean's 11. They may not. I don't think they're gonna go to Michael Clayton. They should, but if we're gonna do it straight, I think you're right. It actually is Ocean's 11.
Right.
Damn it.
At least we didn't say it's Dusk Till Dawn, right?
That's true. Though it could have been.
It could have been.
All right. Fine.
Sorry.
I'll give you that one. Maybe I'm surprised. It could have been Return to Horror High, but I guess not. All right. Next up, Amy Adams.
Okay.
What do you got?
So this is a good one just because it's such her career is so weighted. Like a lot of her best stuff has been within the past few years. So, it's a matter of what do we pick here? Like how far back do we go? And I kind of struggled with either
Batman vs Superman.
Yeah, Batman or Man of Steel, or even her small part in Justice League. I thought was career defining,
sure.
Sure. So I think I struggled with this. I thought maybe it would be Arrival, but and don't get me wrong, I love Arrival and it is a fantastic film.
Yep.
But the more and more I think about it, I think it's The Fighter. I think that's the one that really brought her to more popular consciousness. But looking back at her films, if you look at what's the most popular one versus that's most well known and where she's the really, really good in it, it's a tough sell. But I think I'm going to go with The Fighter.
So I know the big thing for her, right? I think it was Junebug was her big, premiere where everybody was like, "Oh, who's that?"
Right.
And I think The Fighter is a good call, but again, she's a supporting actress in that thing. I think a more relevant pick would have been Julie and Julia, a film I haven't seen, but is supposed to be really quite good, and she's supposed to be quite good in it. Now, obviously, BVS is the obvious answer. No, she's actually she's awesome in American Hustle, but again, very much an ensemble film.
Right.
One of the bright spots outside, of course, Sir Michael Shannon in Nocturnal Animals.
Right.
But I have
Michael Shannon a sir
I
too.
think so.
I like it. We're giving out
too. I think for the next time we do this, Shannon's got to be on the list.
He definitely did. We have to start going into deeper cuts. And I also think what we should do is we should print up some first run knighthoods and we should start sending them out to publicists.
Okay. We'll have to work on that.
Yeah.
So, but I went with Arrival.
Did you? Okay. Yeah, and that's fair.
I think her performance in that is it's incredible. It's exceptionally nuanced and vulnerable, and yet she's very strong in the film as well. The Villeneuve's kind of fake out narrative structure as well but that's more about Villeneuve than it is Amy Adams. So I don't know. I think again, though, a film exceptionally well respected, but I don't know, was it a huge success? It was successful.
It was successful, yeah.
But I don't know.
But I think you're right. I think that's the right answer just because if I'm kind of, as we're talking, I'm scrolling through the IMDb again, and I think you're right. There's not, before that film, like she's great in a lot of films, but like
The Master, she's incredible.
She's great in The Master. But she's not, you're right. She's always been a supporting player, and she hasn't really carried her own film. Besides, unless you want to go back and count Enchanted, where she plays the Disney person that's come to life, which she's fun in that, but it's not exactly a acting tour de force. I think you have to go with Arrival because it's really the first film that I think said that she can lead a movie on her own and kind of open some of those doors for her. So I think that's really the one to go with.
All right. Well, I'm glad I'm right about that.
You are right about that.
All right. So El Tamarino.
Seems so easy. Seems like such a layup. Although I'm kind of curious because he's got so many films to choose from. Like which one you're going to go with? Which one you, Chris, are going to go with? Although I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I have to go first. It's that volleyball movie. That's the one. It's the Top Gun is the quintessential. Not only it's the quintessential Tom Cruise movie. It has everything that you see in it. Action, cool of a certain kind, wattage. It's got everything that you would think that you come to expect from Tom Cruise. And he's, and I'm a huge fan of Tom Cruise's later kind of descent into science fiction. I do love that Tom Cruise, but I think Top Gun is the one to go with.
So I think generally his best performance is considered to be his supporting role in Magnolia. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's true.
So, but unfortunately, you were incorrect. The go-to credit for Tom Cruise, though I did lean towards Top Gun for quite a while. In the end, I went with Night and Day. No, God, I hate that film. That film made me so angry. Night and Day, it is so bad. But no, I went with the Mission Impossible franchise.
Okay,
I think that was just.
So is that fair? Can you just declare a franchise?
I think so. I think so. Like, I think I'd probably lean towards that with like Bale. Is there something Bale's more famous for than the Batman franchise?
American Psycho.
In our circle, yes.
Yeah.
People like us, but outside of that,
what do you mean? People like us? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. No, you're right. No, that's yeah. Okay. Fair enough. I'll give you that. Although, looking back, he's got some pretty classic late 80s films,
Risky Business, Cocktail. You're entirely right. And I think really, if you pushed me, I could probably be convinced to come back to Top Gun. I most likely could be. But I just think if I want to add a little more fresh spice to this thing, I'd have to go with the Mission Impossible because especially those last 3 films have all been really good.
Yeah.
So,
Rain Man.
Yep. Yeah.
Man. Yeah. I mean, I love Minority Report. I love his science fiction film. I mean, Live, Die, Repeat. It's fantastic, or Edge of Tomorrow, whatever you want to call it. But
right.
He's got some really good films. But yeah, I think Mission Impossible is the right answer because it's made like however many billions of dollars, and there's 6 of them. I think 6. We had 6. Yes, 6.
Yep.
So yeah, that's probably the right answer. But I'm going to stubbornly stick to Top Gun because that's Tom Cruise to me.
Yeah, I think that's fair. All right. So those are our initial 5 for credits. Are we wrong? Shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun. What do you think would be the quintessential go-to descriptor of film for those stars? The next time when we bring this back around, we're gonna dig a little deeper, and of course, Sir Michael Shannon will be one of those individuals. So there you go. Coming up next week, Matt. I think it's gonna be. It's gonna be Happy Time Murders.
Okay.
We talked about it. It's on the sheet. The silver bracket. Which reminds me, Beneath the Silver Lake got pushed out to the end of the year. So what do we do about it? Do we want to just pull in 8th grade? Because I think on my sheet, I think I have it right here. It would have. It's another A24 film, so I think the damage isn't that bad. Plus, its competition was Ocean's 8.
Right. Yeah, let's put in 8th grade. Let's do that. I'm good.
And I don't think it really changes anything for me. Though, looking back at my list, oh, brother.
Yeah, I have to go find my old computer. I think that's where the list is. It's not on this new computer, but I'll have to go back and look at it.
Though I had Under the Silver Lake as a finalist, so I'm curious.
Yeah, that's a tough one, man.
I did capture yours, so I do have them if we absolutely need to.
No, I do have them. I do have it. I know where. I just have to go. It's just not in front of me right now.
But I think this is the last one.
I think it is.
Happy Time Murders. Yeah, that's the last one. So we'll be able to do this then next week.
Yeah, we can. All right. Fantastic.
If you can find your sheet.
I can find my sheet. I know where it is.
Right.
No faith in me, which has borne itself out many times over the years that you should have absolutely no faith in me. But come on, Chris. Maybe one of these days I'm going to surprise you.
I'm sure it'll happen. The second film, we're not sure yet. We'll figure that out. I know Matt is still curating that martial arts marathon for me that I'm hoping to get into at some point.
I can have that ready. I can have that ready by next week if you want to start that.
Well, get on it, brother.
Okay, I'm ready.
And I want to mention one thing too. I got to go see 2001 in the IMAX this weekend, and it was quite a sight to behold. Though still, watching something like that, and it becomes very obvious to me how angry AMC makes me when certain things. There's some stuff I love them for. One thing I can't stand it, and it was years ago, they stopped masking their screens. And it drives me crazy. And when I'm watching something like 2001, I want that presentation to be perfect. Now, the sound, the picture, everything was great. But not having the screen masked, it just still, it gets to me. I know nobody cares at this point, but I still do. And then I had this woman behind me who was onomatopoeing throughout the whole damn thing. Like whenever she would, there's a part where they go to get he goes to get the body, right? And then he's in the capsule in space. Yeah. And as soon as is it Bowman's body? I always get when they capture it, she goes boom. And then later on, when he has to blow the back off the pod to get back into the ship, she's like, she does the same thing. She goes pow, like, and then I'm like. And she starts laughing at times that are not, it's not, listen, 2001 is not a funny movie. All right. I think we can safely say that. So then I'm thinking to myself, am I an a-hole? Does this woman have a disability? Right? Is that what it is? So I turn around and not that it's always obvious. And I think I need to stop talking now because I'm sounding like an a-hole. But just my inference, because I overheard her talking to her friend throughout the movie a few times too, is that everything's fine with this woman and she just doesn't understand she's not home.
Right.
Which drives me crazy.
I know.
Do not talk through the films. All right. Just don't. You're not home. Have some respect.
You know, and that's, somebody pointed that out to me, and that's, you know, you go to see movies with friends or whatever, and it's like a weird thing to go see a movie with a friend because you kind of want to, the whole point is to like hang out with them and talk to them. And I read somewhere that they're like, I don't understand, some comedian, he's like, I don't understand why people think going to see a movie is weird. That is the most perfect thing to see by yourself because everybody needs to be quiet and not talk to anybody else. So you should be there by yourself.
I've been going to the movies by myself for a very long time for a bunch of different reasons, but it's it's my preferred way to go. Right. I remember when I was dating a woman who was not my wife. This is years ago. And I had this terrifying feeling like, oh, what if she's a talker? Oh my God, what if she's talking? Our first or second date, right? Because you don't want to be like, shut the hell up. Right. But you also don't want to, so I don't know.
Oh, that's
she
funny.
Talked a little bit.
I'm so glad
respond that much.
Nervous. You were nervous whether she was a talker or not. That is hilarious. That is quintessential Chris right there. That's it.
Yeah. Lovely young woman who shall not be named because I don't know if she wants anybody to know she dated me. I dated her. Whichever one.
Whichever way you want to go with that.
Whatever way would it be embarrassing for her. Really. So we will not name any names.
So you know what else is available? What might be coming out? I'll have to look. Maybe we can. I know we have to see the Happy Time Murders just because it's on the stupid bracket. But Searching, yeah, it's supposed to be really good. It's supposed to come out. I just don't know if it's still pretty limited. So I'll have to see if it's actually playing around here.
Yeah, I didn't see it around here. I may try and squeeze in my boy Mark Wahlberg's movie. I don't know.
Okay. Well, we are A-listers now. We got to get our money's worth. So we can see whatever the hell we want. Damn it.
That's right. And 2001 was covered under the A-list thing, so it's
it was nice.
So, all right. Feedback at thefirstrun.com. Shoot us an email. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Do a search for us: YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We are everywhere. Scroll. You will find us. Go to Apple Podcasts and give us a rating: 3.5, 4 stars or above, whatever it is. I'll read it on there. I promise, because I have no shame.
Mm-hmm.
So, Matt. That's going to be the big show for this week. Why don't we take an extended break, and we will see you all soon.
You kind of look like a slutty Ebola virus.
It's like a bag of Skittles. Taste the rainbow.